Namaste. That greeting, namaste, that we say at the beginning and at the end of the class means, when translated, the light in me bows to the light in you. And this session is going to talk about our inner light. In yoga, it's said that our inner light is always there. It may be covered up, but it burns brightly within us, the light of goodness, of purity, our true nature. There's a saying that when the veil of ignorance lifts, our true light is revealed. It doesn't mean it wasn't there before. It just sometimes gets covered up by stuff, by life. In today's class, we're going to talk about Diwali, the festival of lights, where people light lamps to welcome in the light over the darkness, good over evil. And they worship the goddess Lakshmi, the goddess of wealth and prosperity, often pictured with golden coins coming down from her hands to represent wealth. But it means wealth and prosperity in the spiritual and the well-being sense, as well as the material sense. She has her hands in mudras, a gesture of Abhaya, saying fear not, and also Varada, saying offerings. And then she's holding the lotus blossoms, representing this idea of coming out of ignorance into enlightenment, into compassion, to love. And she's seated on a lotus blossom. Lotuses are big in Lakshmi's world, and with elephants in the background there. Lakshmi is the consort of Vishnu. Vishnu, the sustainer of the universe, the one who brings balance. So come into an upright position. I don't mind if you're cross-legged or kneeling or legs out in front. And I want you to bring your hands to your heart. So you can take Anjali Mudra with the hands together. And then we're going to open this out into Padma Mudra, Lotus Blossom Mudra. So keeping the little fingers and the thumb touching and the heel of the hand touching, open out the fingers to make like a cup, and hold that in front of your heart. And you're welcome to close your eyes if you want to, and breathe into this idea of the lotus emerging from the mud, growing up to the light and being beautiful. Even though it comes from the mud, it's beautiful. And think of all the things that Lakshmi represents. Okay, the goddess Lakshmi represents wealth and prosperity, not just materially. People do pray to Lakshmi for blessings of finances and good business, but also spiritually and emotionally. So our well-being and prosperity in that sense too. She represents love and happiness in relationships, and is seen in anything we consider to be a blessing. So imagine what you would like Lakshmi to be filling up your cup with. Let her shower down those blessings on you. Taking nice deep breaths in and out. Feeling the breath flowing a little as the inhales get deeper and those exhales get longer. Good. And then I want you to offer up your lotus. So let your lotus blossom reach up to the light. Let the fingers part and feel those blessings shower down upon you. And bring the hands together and back to the heart space. Great. Right, let's take the feet wide apart, so outside of your mat, and notice how this feels on the hips, okay? So might be some tightness. There's no goals in yoga. There's no set place to get to, but I want you just to take a look and see where your feet are in relation to the mat. And we'll come back to this at the end of the class and not only see where our feet are, but also how it feels. So just noticing how this feels in the hips, in the legs. Lakshmi came up from the milling of the ocean. So I want you to take one fist and place a hand around it. And we're going to move our hands and body as though we're moving a giant millstone. So first of all, in a clockwise direction, going out to the side, drawing back and across and round again, getting those hips moving, seeing how far in each direction you can move. Good, trying to keep the toes flexed, get the work going in the back of the legs as well, and then going the other way. So maybe 3 times one way and 3 times the other way. Good. And bringing that to stillness. Then take the soles of your feet together in bound angle pose. The closer you bring your hips and your heels together, then the tighter and the more stretch it's going to put on the hips. So you find a compromise, and we're going to lie down, reclined bound angle pose. And if your knees are really uncomfortable being stuck up in the air, it might be worth getting some blocks or blankets, something to support the legs a little. If it's really uncomfortable, because we're going to stay here for a while, a few breaths, then you can change this to an internal rotation of the hips instead, bringing the knees together. Otherwise, let them drop out to the side. Hands can rest on hips or thighs. And again, if you want to, you can close your eyes and feel into the sensations as you allow gravity to open up the hips. So goddess Lakshmi accompanied the god, the warrior Indra, and she brought blessings and good luck to all those who she was with. So everything was going very well. But Indra became a little arrogant, a little overconfident. And one day when a wise sage offered him a garland of flowers, instead of accepting the gift and placing it around his neck, he tossed it to his elephant, who threw it on the floor. And not only did this disrespect the sage greatly, it upset Lakshmi to see this arrogant behavior. And she left Indra and went into the ocean. It wasn't long before Indra started to lose all his wealth, all his treasures. People started to become greedy in the world and stopped making offerings to the gods. The gods lost their power and the world became a dark place. The demons started taking over. Indra asked Vishnu, "Great Vishnu, what can I do to bring Lakshmi back, to right this wrong I've done?" And Vishnu told him that all the gods would have to work together and to churn the great milky ocean. I want you to gently bring your knees together, place the feet on the floor, and bring just the right knee over your chest and give it a hug, a little squeeze in, so you can link the fingers around your shin, squeeze that leg in. So the gods started churning and churning the great ocean. And after 1,000 years, treasures started to appear from the sea. So I want you to gently now inhale with the knee bent, and then on an exhale, start stretching that right foot up to the ceiling. So we're not using the strap this week. I want it to be a gentler practice. And you can bend the knee and straighten it, flexing the foot, feeling into any stretch at the back of the legs, along the hamstrings. If this is nice and comfortable for you, you can draw the foot towards the head a little more. And then releasing, bending the knee, take that foot back down to the floor. And let's do that on the other side. So a little squeeze in, left knee coming towards the chest, fingers linked around the shin, lying on the floor, head's comfortable, shoulders relaxed. And then we're gonna lift our left foot up to the sky. Do it on an exhale, so the stretch happens on the out breath. And up from the ocean, along with many treasures, including Amrita, the nectar of the gods, the elixir of immortality, up rose Lakshmi on a lotus blossom. So imagine that your foot is pushing Lakshmi up into the world again. And then bend the knee, foot back onto the floor, and gently roll over onto your side and press yourself up to sitting. Come to kneeling or cross-legged if you prefer. And light and goodness was returned to the world. Lakshmi once again brought treasures to Indra and anyone who she accompanied. So you see that in the picture there's often white elephants depicted. I want us to represent the elephants. If you bring your palms to the heart, take an inhale and stretch your hands up, your arms up. Link the fingers lightly, and as you exhale, bring them behind your head. So you can have the fingers slightly interlaced, or if that's not comfortable, it might be better to have the fingers touching behind the head. And we're representing the elephant ears here with our arms and elbows. I want you to draw those elbows back. Keep a nice long spine. Chin is a bit tucked, so we're not craning the neck back. And breathe here, feeling the stretch across the triceps, across the chest. So the white of the elephants indicates purity. Elephants themselves indicate wisdom, and they're often seen spraying water out of their trunks. And this represents that if you keep working, if you keep up a continued effort, then blessings will be sprayed upon you. Good. So big inhale to finish. And exhale, hands come down to the floor. Come to tabletop position, kneeling on all fours. And I want you to take just the right hand behind the head again, like your elephant ear, and turn a little to your side. It doesn't have to be a big twist here. We're going to rotate that elbow around to get some movement into the shoulder. And we're looking for an opening in the chest. If this is tough on your remaining wrist that's on the floor, you can bring yourself to forearm. And if it's comfortable, you can turn those circles now into big extended circles with the arms. Thinking of elephant's trunk spraying out the water. Nice big circles. And bringing that back down to the earth. And same on the other side. Left hand comes up behind the head to start with. Feel into this movement. So get that shoulder moving, get it lubricated. And then if it's comfortable, you can start taking the arm out and making those movements bigger. Maybe following them with your eyes. Maybe the neck doesn't want to move in those directions. So you do what's right for you. Think of opening across the chest. Good. One more time. And then bringing it back to our tabletop pose. I'm going to take our cat-cow movements with the spine. Start with that nice long flat back. Crown of head reaches forward. Sit bones reach behind you. Inhale there, pressing into the hands. As you exhale, draw the belly up towards the ceiling, rounding the back, dropping the head in our cat stretch. As you inhale again, tilt the pelvis forward, so tummy drops, chest and head lift in cow pose. And keep these nice slow movements going with the breath. So in ancient India, they didn't build temples to Lakshmi. They didn't want to feel that she was captured, that she was restricted to being in the temple. They wanted her goodness, her blessings to be everywhere. And her blessings are seen in coins, in newborn babies, but especially in cows. Okay, so cows are very holy in India. In fact, they're encouraged if they're out and about. They're often fed by people. They're seen as Lakshmi, visiting them and bringing good luck and prosperity. And sink the hips back down towards the heels for child pose. Stretch out the fingers slowly in front of you so you get that lovely length in the arms. Stretch along the sides of the body and then bring the elbows to the floor. Maybe the forehead comes to the floor, maybe it doesn't. Bend the elbows, bend the arms and bring the hands behind the head. In Anjali Mudra, so prayer pose, and breathe into the back of the body here. And then bringing the hands back down to the floor, rise up to kneeling, and we'll take our first down dog of the day. If you don't want to come into down dog, you can walk the hands forward and do puppy dog, still remaining on the knees. Otherwise, hands are a little bit in front of the shoulders, nice wide spread palms, press into the fingertips, tuck the toes, inhale and exhale, lifting the hips up to down dog and pedal out the legs. One heel coming down as the opposite knee bends, and then swapping over, getting a little bit of movement in the hips, nice and soft and gentle today. So keeping these movements fluid and flowing. If it feels good, bringing yourself to stillness, bend the knees, inhale, take the hips back as you push the hands into the mat, and then exhale, straightening the legs a little, heels coming down towards the floor. Lovely long back, don't lose that length in the spine. And then start walking forward, feet coming towards the hands, come into a forward fold at the front of your mat. And again, let this be soft today, knees stay bent, the hands dangle down, let the head go, the neck release. So let gravity take the head, little shake of the head, little nod. See if you can release any tension that's held there. And we're going to come into our goddess squat. So let's take a wider stride, maybe as wide as your mat, and turn the toes out a little. And then slowly bending the knees, just try out how a squat feels. You don't have to come all the way down. You can try that a couple of times. And if you don't want to come down with the sit bone towards the floor, maybe keep working a little higher up dynamically. Otherwise, you might be able to drop the hips down. Maybe the feet are flat on the floor, maybe the heels are lifted. You can always put a blanket under them. And again, you can bring your hands to Anjali Mudra, maybe open them out into Padma Mudra. And think of those blessings that you're getting by giving the hips a good workout here. Press down into the feet, lift the heart. So trying not to round and crunch down into this. Breathing here, noticing how it feels coming into this the first time. Good. And then placing the hands on the floor. Bring it back to a forward fold. So stretch out the legs. Heel toe the feet a little closer together. Coming to maybe hip width, or they can even come to touching if your balance is good and you feel nice and stable. This time I'm going to press down into those feet, bend the knees a little and slowly start rolling up. Let the head be heavy, shoulders roll back and the head comes up last, coming up to standing. Good. Rising up, palms facing a little forward to keep that chest and heart nice and open. Lovely. And then take the feet a little wider, ready for some hip circles. Hands on the hips. And let's start moving the hips around. Okay, gently, smallish circles at first, and then get a bit more movement into the knees, into the ankles, trying to make those circles a little bigger, pausing and then taking it the other way, warming up all those joints and getting this sacral area moving, very much related to that feminine goddess energy. Lovely. Bringing it to stillness. And our balance today is going to be a half goddess pose. So think of it as a good preparation for tree pose. I want you to think about our left leg, first of all, being the standing leg. Take the right toes, balance on the toes, about a foot away from that standing foot. So whereas we'd prepare for tree pose with the foot right next to it, let's keep it out to the side and try and take that knee back a little without twisting. Hips are still facing the front, but we're trying to get this lovely opening across the front of the hips. Hands can be on your hips or down by your side, a little bend in that standing leg so we're not locking the knee. And we're going to lift the knee up, foot is flexed into literally like a half goddess pose up in the air. And the toes can come back down to the floor and up again if you want to, or you might be able to keep this balance. So just do what you can. You can always have a hand on the chair or a wall if you want to. Keep the breath going. And if you like, lift your arms into a goddess pose. Again, keep this soft. Sometimes we do cactus pose with the palms facing forwards. Today, imagine you're holding the world in your arms. You've got this great big globe in your arms. Well done. Couple more breaths if you can. We've been here a while, I know. Pressing down into that standing foot. And finishing on an exhale, bringing the foot down to the floor, the hands down to the sides. Really nice. And then set yourself up on the other side. So turning that left knee out to the side, come onto the toes. Try and square your hips to the front, starting maybe with the hands on the hips. Get your balance, press down and spread down into that right foot. When you're ready, lift up the left knee. And you can experiment by flexing the foot, see if that makes you feel stronger. You might feel more work around the hip. And breathing here, trying to keep this open feeling in the chest as well as across the hips. And if you want to, taking the hands out to the side. Your half goddess balance. So think of Lakshmi being the consort of Vishnu. Vishnu is the sustainer, okay? He keeps balance in the world. So maybe this is an appropriate posture for Lakshmi as the consort of Vishnu, helping him keep balance. Breathe into that. Lovely. Nice big breath to finish. And exhale, foot to the floor. Good stuff. Let's take the feet mat width apart again, turn the toes out. We're going to come back into a squat. So hands can be on the hips or on the thighs, and you don't have to come down all the way. Nice big inhale at the top. Exhale, try and keep the chest lifted as the hips come down. And again, could take a couple of breaths to get down, sinking the hips down to the floor. Doesn't matter if you don't come all the way. What I want you to notice is, does this feel any different to the first time? Maybe the hands come in front, Padma Mudra, maybe they stay on your thighs if you're working a little higher up. Just feel into the sensations around your hips, thighs, checking that the knees are okay, seeing if the body's got used to this posture a little more, okay? Really good for strengthening the legs, opening up those hip flexors. And then bring the hands to the floor. And I want you to, you're at the front of your mat. I want you to take a big stride back with the right foot. So coming into a lunge with your left knee directly over the left ankle. And I want you to drop the knee, the back knee down to the floor. So we're in a low lunge. That back knee is at a little bit of an angle. If you want to pad up the knee with something softer, then please do so, because we're going to rise up and I don't want there to be a lot of pressure on your knee. It shouldn't be painful. So pressing into the front foot, inhale, bring the hands to the heart. And again, let's open them out, thinking of Lakshmi, thinking of the goddess and the lotus blossom, lifting the heart, dropping the shoulders back. You can stay like this for another couple of breaths, or we can grow our lotus up, reaching up to the light, and even taking it into a bit of a back bend, if that's okay for you, keeping the tailbone long, tucked under, belly lifted, zip up the front of the pelvis there and the abdomen, drawing everything in towards the spine. Long neck, you can gaze forward or up. Big inhale here, and then drop the hands down behind the head. Exhale. Again, the hands are now in Anjali Mudra, like we had in our child pose. I want you to think that you're gathering everything up, all the goodies that Lakshmi is about to bestow. Inhale here, and then on an exhale, bring the hands forward, showering down blessings as you bring the hands either side of the front foot. Then tuck the back toes under, step back to downward facing dog, staying here for a couple of breaths, or you can come straight to kneeling. Breathing into the stretch that you feel along the back of the body, maybe bending the knees and straightening them. And then if you're okay to come into plank pose, floating forward to plank, the shoulders have got to be over the elbows, nice and lined up. Push the mat away from you. Everything in line, shoulders, knees, ankles. You can drop the knees to the floor if you want. Otherwise, one more big breath here. And then everyone slowly lower down the knees and then bending the elbows, draw the tummy down to the floor, ready for cobra pose. Hands are under the shoulders now. Stretch the toes back long, tops of the feet on the floor. Think length in the body. As you inhale, lift the heart forwards and the gaze comes up. As you exhale, relax down again. One more time, inhaling, roll the shoulders back, draw the shoulder blades down and exhale down. This time we're going to come up into cobra on the inhale and all the way back on the exhale, either to kneeling or all the way to downward facing dog. Good stuff. And then that right leg is going to lift up behind you. If you're kneeling, then it's coming to hip height. If you're in down dog, you're taking it up to three-legged dog. And try and internally rotate the thigh so that that back foot isn't pointing to the side, it's pointing down at the floor. And a little bend in the left knee, ready to push off with that left foot. We're going to swing the right foot through, bringing the foot between the hands at the front of the mat, coming into your lunge again. Well done. Doesn't matter how you get there, we'll all end up together. You're now going to push off with the back foot into a forward fold, coming into your nice, loose, relaxed forward fold, like dripping honey off a spoon, letting the neck be long, the hands and the head hang down. Pressing down into the feet, start your ascent up, rising up, drawing the shoulders back as you come to the top. Coming back into Tadasana, our mountain pose. Palms facing a little forward. Nice lifted heart. And breathe here. Take a moment to notice any sensations. What's happening with the breath, the body, the heart rate. Let it settle. Good. And then we're going to take that to the other side. So again, taking a bit of a wide stance, turning the toes out. We get another chance at Malasana, our goddess squat. Maybe bring the hands to the heart, or you can have them on the hips or the thighs, wherever you want to be working. Inhale at the top. Exhale, drawing the hips down. You might come halfway, they might come all the way. Okay, see what's right for you. It could be a static pose, it could be dynamic. Don't mind at all, just getting some work into these hips, but with gentleness, with kindness. Press into the feet and lift the heart. Lovely. And inhale here. Exhale, bring the hands down to the floor. And this time you're going to take a big step back with your left foot. So you're coming into a lunge with the left foot back and the right knee stays over the right ankle. You drop down on that back knee. So take a moment here to line yourself up and don't let all the weight go into the knee, okay? It should be shared along the body. Use this front foot to press into on an inhale, rising up. Okay, and we want the natural arch of the back, not an overextended arch. So if the lumbar area feels compromised, feels uncomfortable, draw in the tummy and think tailbone long and see what difference that makes to the pose. See if you can draw yourself up and have that lightness of feeling. Opening the fingers out, Padma Mudra, and let that lotus blossom grow up if you want to. Maybe taking the hands and the arms back a little further than you did before, lifting the heart. Again, the look can be up to the sky or it could be straight forward to see what's right on your neck. Nice big breath here. Bring the hands together, Anjali Mudra, and drop them back on the exhale, bringing the hands behind the head, gathering up all those gifts. Inhaling, exhale, bring the hands over and down to the floor. Back to frame the front foot, good stuff. Tuck the toes under, back toes under, and step back. Into downward facing dog and walk the legs out there. You can come straight to kneeling if you prefer. You can even have a sneaky child pose in here if you want to rest for a couple of breaths. And then we're going to float forward to plank, holding it or dropping the knees to the ground. Don't mind as long as that core is still working. So think everything around the spine, a little bit of glutes, a little bit of buttock contraction to keep you in this lovely straight line out through the crown of the head. And then everyone dropping the knees down and the chest down. Everything come down to the floor. Elbows stay nice and close as we inhale into cobra and exhale down again. Soft and gentle. Think of the curling up of a cobra, okay? That lovely fluid motion. One more time. Lifting up and then back either to kneeling or downward facing dog. And this time the left foot is going to lift up behind you. Press the hands into the ground, have that lovely length. Breathe here. And then swing the left foot through. It's coming through between the hands. And this time, instead of stepping forward, we're going to walk the hands round to the side. So turning to the long edge of your mat, bring the feet so that the outside edges are parallel to each other. They're a nice wide distance apart. And bend the knees enough to bring your hands to the floor. And we're in a wide-legged forward fold here. Again, bring in the softness. Bend one knee, then the other. Sway from side to side. Let the hips release gently. And maybe you feel a little bit of a dropping sensation, dropping into the forward fold. Let the head come down towards the floor. Feel this bowing down towards the earth in a slightly different way. Now, Lakshmi is said to be the daughter of Durga, the great goddess, the divine mother. So we're going to rise up into goddess pose. I want you to bring your heels towards each other so that the toes are pointing out to the corners of your mat. And press down into the feet. Keep the knees bent as you start to roll yourself up. And then as you come upright, straighten the legs and keep the motion going. Bring the arms up in front of you and stretch them out so you come up into star pose, inhaling at the top. Exhale, bend the knees, bend the elbows, and we come into goddess pose. And let's turn the palms towards each other just to soften that off slightly. So again, it's like you're holding the world, cradling the world. See if you can drop the hips down a little deeper. Well done. You can always heel toe the feet in a little closer to try and find that stable and not quite so uncomfortable position. Still keep the chest lifted, tailbone down, strong legs in this pose. Okay, own your goddess energy. Breathe in and out here. I'm going to take a little twist. So bring the hands down onto the thighs, bow down so that the heart is parallel with the floor, and feel the length all through the spine. Back of the neck is long. Breathe in the center here, and then dip the right shoulder. Turn to your left for a little twist on the exhale. Come back through the center. Inhale, nice long spine. Exhale, dip the left shoulder, turn to your right. And again, inhale to the center. Exhale, turning, looking over your left shoulder, back to the center. Inhale. Exhale, drop that left shoulder, looking to your right. Good. Come through the center one more time. Big inhale. And bow down. Hands touch the floor. And I want you to walk yourself heel toe, the feet in, and drop the hips to Malasana. Goddess squat one more time. If this is not comfortable, come to sitting because that's where we're going next. But if you can, seeing has this pose evolved throughout the practice, taking a moment there, maybe offering up a lotus blossom to Lakshmi. Deep respect to people who can sit like this all day and feel comfortable. Breathe into it. Good. And ease yourself back to sitting. Bring the hands to the ground to help you come down. Stretch the legs out long. Have a little shake out. And we're going to take a bow over one leg at a time. Again, we're not going to use a strap today. I want it to be softer. I want it to be gentler. So let's begin by bringing the right foot, the sole of the right foot, up as high as is comfortable inside the left thigh. Let that knee drop out to the side, or you can put a block or a blanket under it. And this left knee stays pointing up to the sky, and so do the left toes. Okay, so foot is flexed and everything stays in line. We're facing that straight leg. Inhale, lifting the arms up. Exhale, hinge forward just as far as you can go without starting to round the back, and let the hands come down to the floor, either side of the leg. Doesn't matter if the hands are right down by the foot or up near the thighs. You rest them down, and then we'll start working where you are. So inhale, bending the knee, lifting the heart. On the exhale, think, bring the heart forward as you bow down and straighten the leg a little. And keep working like that. The inhale releases the posture a bit, bend the knee. Exhale into the bow. Hands might want to come to rest on the leg or the foot, but don't force and tug. So that's why sometimes keeping the hands either side of the foot can help with that. Gently, softly, maybe the movements are becoming more and more subtle here. Bow down, nose towards the knee. Deep respect for your hamstrings and your back muscles. Keep those toes flexed on the left foot, pointing up to the sky. Take a couple more deep breaths here. And finish with a final bow. Before you use the hands to start walking yourself back upright. Lovely. And then take the right foot over the outside of the left knee, ready to half lord of the fish's twist. And if twisting is uncomfortable for you, or you know you've got any spinal issues, keep the foot inside the knee, otherwise it's going to the outside. I'm going to lift both hands today. Inhale, lift both hands up and try and keep that lovely length in the side body. As we exhale, we turn to our right. We wrap the left arm around the right leg, and this free right hand rests behind the hip. We turn sideways, inhale and lengthen the spine again. And then on the exhale, turn the tummy, the shoulders, and last of all, the head round, looking over that right shoulder. 3 breaths here. Each inhale, lengthen up through the spine, unwind a little to find that extra length, and exhale into the twist. Again, keep the foot flexed. That left leg is long and the toes point up to the sky. Final exhale on this side. Inhale all the way around to the front. And lengthen the legs out and have a little shake. Just notice if you feel a little lopsided, we'll even that up on the other side. So draw the left foot up into the right thigh. If you ever want to move some flesh out of the way to get that really good contact with the floor, you make yourself comfortable. You can always sit up on a blanket or a block as well to make this posture a little more comfortable. And we're going to inhale, lift the arms up, hinge at the hips rather than rounding the back. Exhale forward. When you feel you've reached the point, you can feel some resistance, let the hands float down to the floor, and then you start working where you are. Inhale, bend that right leg. Inhale and lift the chest. Exhale, bow down, trying to straighten the leg, but think of length in the body rather than rounding the back. And slowly and gradually, the body might ease. The muscles might give a little more. And if we force it, they just tighten up. So think that we might get a little bit of a deeper bow over time, not immediately. Hands can rest on the mat or they can come to the leg or the foot. Use the breath to take you into the posture. The exhale releases tension, moves us into the stretch. Okay, all down the back of the body. Release Any clenching of the jaw, make sure the breath stays smooth and even. If it gets ragged, we know we're trying a little too hard. Maybe the last couple of breaths are in stillness. Maybe you're still moving dynamically by bending and straightening the leg. Nice deep exhale to make your final bow, your final offering into this posture. Before starting to press yourself up, use the hands to walk yourself back upright. Good. And take the foot across the knee, everything pointing up. So this bent knee pointing up, the straight knee pointing up, the toes pointing up. Nice tall spine, crown of head up to the sky. Inhale, lift the arms. Exhale, try not to lose that length you've gained as you turn to your left. Swinging the arm, or maybe the hand comes around the knee, and this free left hand comes behind us to rest on the floor, and we take another inhale, and then it's on the exhale that we complete the twist. We turn the tummy a little more, then the chest, then the shoulders, and the head last. And then we come off of that stretch, we unwind and find length in between the vertebrae again, and then twist, spiraling up from the base of the spine around to the top of the head. Nice, deep, slow breath. Again, there's no rush with twists. Little bit of resistance is all we need to feel to get the benefit, squeezing the internal organs and giving the spine a lovely ring out. Inhaling all the way to the front. Exhaling, legs come out long, have a little shake. Good stuff. And take the feet nice and wide. Seeing where the feet land this time. And it doesn't matter if they're exactly the same, maybe they're even closer together than we started if you've been working yourself hard, but maybe they're a little wider. And notice how the hips feel. Do they feel different to when we started the class? Is it a little more bearable to sit here? You can always sit up on that block. It often releases the pressure around the hips and thighs a little. And you're welcome to stay here for the next few breaths, or you can bring your hands behind the hips and lift the heart. Nice, long, slow breaths here. If you want to increase the stretch that you feel around the hip flexors, then you can bring the hands in front of you on the floor, lengthen up on an inhale and begin to walk the hands away from you on the exhale. Again, we're looking for a hinging rather than a rounding. You might not come very far forward. You might be able to come down to your forearms. Some people can lay flat on their tummies with their arms extended. It doesn't matter as long as you're getting the work that's appropriate for you. Toes stay pointing up to the ceiling and you use the breath. Breathe through the sensations. As long as there's not pain, breathe through any discomfort. And feel that the exhales take away that tension in the body. Let the head go. And either dropping it back if you've got the hands behind you, or dropping it forward if the hands are in front. Final breath here. And then bringing yourself upright. Good. And draw the soles of the feet together once again. If you want to gather anything to pad up under the knees, we're going to lie back into our supine Baddha Konasana. So easing yourself down to the floor. If anyone's got a bolster or another time maybe a mat rolled up with a blanket around it, it's a really nice posture to bring the knees, the thighs, the calves to rest on top of something of that sort of shape. and let the knees drop open. Palms now face up to the sky, or they can rest on the hips if that's more comfortable. And again, see how this pose feels at the end of our practice compared with how it was at the beginning of the session. And if you're comfortable to stay here for a while, then breathe into this posture. If you need to bring the knees together, that's absolutely fine. So we started by talking about light and the light within us. And Lakshmi, I chose Lakshmi this week because we're in the build up to Diwali, the festival of the lights. And Lakshmi is given extra attention during this time. People light lamps in their home or outside of their houses to welcome Lakshmi, to show her the way and to invite her blessings into the household. She's very much a household goddess. And there's so many things that Diwali is used to celebrate. It's slightly different all over India, and now all over the world, this celebration is spreading. And sometimes it's a festival lasting several days with different things celebrated on different days. Sometimes it's a build up to one big event. It's this whole idea of light over darkness. One of the stories that Diwali celebrates is the story of Lord Rama returning from exile, having fought off an evil demon Ravana and rescued his wife Sita. He comes back to his rightful kingdom, and the people light lamps to show him the way home. So it's this feeling of coming home. And just like we talked about Vishnu having incarnations like Krishna, it's seen the same that his consort Lakshmi takes incarnations to be partners with these people. So with Krishna, she's Radhe, and with Ram, she's Sita. So bring the knees gently together if you haven't already. And I want you to choose your posture for relaxation. Stretching the legs out long for Shavasana, letting the toes drop out to the side, or keeping the feet on the floor, the knees bent, and letting the knees drop together in constructive rest pose. See which you find more comfortable on your lumbar spine, having a wriggle of the shoulder blades, and when you get comfortable, closing your eyes. Let the hands be a little way away from the body with the palms face up to the sky, if that's okay for you. This receiving gesture with the hands, open to all the blessings which are offered to you. And use the breath to drop now down into relaxation. Every exhale, feel a letting go. The body sinking into the floor. Releasing the jaw, letting the tongue be soft, the arms and the legs heavy. Feel the breath flowing. And today I want to imagine that little light inside of us, our inner light, just like one lamp can light many other lamps. I want that inner light inside us to light up our body. We're going to place the image of a candle or a light around the body. So bringing your attention down to your toes. Imagine little lights in your toes and in your feet. Placing your attention into your ankles, and wherever we're placing this idea of light, we're bringing nourishment and relaxation, guiding us home. Coming up through the legs, placing little lamps on our knees, up through the thighs, this warm relaxation, lamps around the hips, traveling around the pelvis, up to the belly. We'll place a lamp on the belly and up to the heart, lighting up the heart. Bringing the attention out to the shoulders. Imagine little lamps on the shoulders. And let warm relaxation and nourishment travel down your arms, into your palms. Picture 2 lamps there, soothing the hands, the fingers, feeling that relaxation traveling back up through the arms, around the shoulders, up the neck and into the head. I want you to think of the point between the eyebrows. Imagine a light there, little lamp burning there. Feel relaxation spread all over the face, the crown of the head, and then down again through the whole body. Soft golden light all through the body, bringing you into relaxation, reawakening the inner light inside you. And breathing here. Thinking of Diwali symbolizing the victory of light over dark, good over evil. The light of higher knowledge overcoming the darkness of ignorance. And with an awakening of light comes compassion, happiness, joy, feeling of oneness with everything in the world, this feeling of ananda, bliss. Letting the celebration of Diwali awaken our inner light. And remembering it's only when we experience darkness that we can appreciate the coming of the light all the more. Knowing it will follow, just as day follows night. As we come into the darker months of winter, we light up our homes with fires, with candles, with electricity, bringing light into our homes, just as we with yoga can bring light into our beings. Taking a nice big breath into the heart space with that thought. Letting go of the image of all the little lamps around you. Starting to let the inhales become deeper, wiggling fingers and toes. Starting to stretch out the limbs. And if you want to, you can hug the knees up to the chest. Slowly making your way onto your right hand side and resting there. And then pressing yourself back up to a seated position. Bringing your hands one more time, first to Anjali Mudra in front of the heart, and then opening out into Padma Mudra, or lotus blossom. Feel yourself being filled up with the many blessings life has to offer. Inhale and let that lotus blossom grow up nice and tall. Open the palms out and exhale, gather in all the blessings of Lakshmi and bring them back into your heart. You can join me in an Om if you want to. Inhaling here. Om. And taking a bow to yourselves, to our practice, to the goddess Lakshmi and the festival of lights, Diwali. May you be blessed by Lakshmi with love, prosperity, and happiness. And may you be in touch with that inner light that burns inside of you. Namaste.